Hello, welcome back to Danley Duncan on Preaching. Today we are going to talk about, as we have covered basically the main portions of what's in a sermon. But have you ever heard about transitions? Transitions, they are vital to your sermon. They are like the glue that helps you to move from one part of a sermon to another. Transitions, they help you to move and help the sermon to move. Transitions, they guarantee three things: unity, order, and progress. Unity, order, and progress. Unity, they help, again, tie everything together. They help so that there's no drop off. There's no sudden jump from one to the next. It's a smoothness that logically people are seeing the movements. Then there's the whole idea of order. There's a sequence from the first to the next, to the next, to the next. So you are making the ride as smooth as possible, but also people are seeing the order in what you are saying, right? And the next thing is the progress. Transitions help the sermon to progress to its conclusion. So you you begin you begin with the introduction. Well, the scripture, the topic. Some persons may announce the topic first. I prefer to announce the scripture first because I'm preaching scripture, and I want scripture to be first and sometime last, right? Yeah, right. So you are progressing. So transitions, they happen at different places in your sermon. You transition, and I know some of you may have heard of transitions and you're thinking between points, 1 point, 2 points. But transitions happen and should happen at various points or various places. Sorry, let me not use point. Various places in your sermon. For instance, you need to transition from your introduction, um, your preliminary information that you may be sharing, to your first main point. There has to be a smooth flow, a transition. And this transition more or less would introduce the main truth that you are sharing. So there has to be a way for you to transition to that. And obviously, between points, right, there's a need for transitioning, smooth flow. But what about under a particular main point? To transition from stating the point, you anchor the point, but you may want to illustrate the point and to move from the point to illustration back to the point. There's a need for transitions, way how you say that. This can be illustrated, right? So you may say something like, this can be illustrated as we look at the life of David. And then after you finish saying what you're saying, as David sought the Lord, so it is Paul is saying in this text. So there's a need for transitional phrases, right? And then there's a transition from illustration to the point, but you have to go to application. You may ask the question, how can this be applied? Or this can we can see that this is important to us. Or mothers, mommy, this is important for you. When you do so and so, yeah, this is what the Bible is saying. That's your application. So then there's also not just the application, but when you're moving from your main points to your conclusion, but you have to transition to that, right? So that, there's a smooth flow to your conclusion. So then, what are some phrases that you can use with your main, let's say with your main points? Well, we can use the first, second, third, firstly, all right? Like if you are presenting on, let's say, Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10 to 17 that speaks about the armor of God, you may present and say, the first part, the first piece of the armor that Paul gives, right? So that's your transition from maybe your introduction to your first main point. But then the other piece is, what do you say? You may say something like, oh, the second piece, and you may go the third piece, the fourth piece, the fifth piece, which is, you may choose that. Or you may look at some other words. In addition, right? In addition to the belt of truth, Paul expresses and talks about the shield of faith. Or further on, there is the sword of the Spirit. So you notice, you just took out first, second, third, and what you're doing is transitioning, but you're using a different way, a different phrase. So in addition to, further on, or you may say on the contrary, right? You may say and the next, right? But remember, when you give these transition, remember to restate your keyword. So if you're looking at 5 benefits of prayer, you may first benefit, second benefit, or you may say, in addition to the benefit of being in the presence of God, we also have the wonderful benefit of, so the keyword benefit, right? Benefit. And then you keep that keyword, but your sentence, the phrase that you use can change, but you keep the keyword. And you can say, like today, not only is Proverbs chapter 31 verse 26, not only is the virtuous wife, this woman, not only is wisdom coming from her mouth, but also, right, there's kindness from her lips. So you can say not only but also, right? But again, you want to use variety. You want to carefully craft your sermons, that you give time to these little portion, little parts, little pieces of the whole process. And all this is part of what we call sermon crafting, which, by the way, I'm looking at launching again some classes, on expository preaching, right? And next in our next episode coming, we are going to start a brand new series on expository preaching, what it is, what it entails, and so on and so on. But I'm looking to launch some classes in the Preachers Academy, right? So look out for the notification, look out, coming soon. The ads will be coming and you will be able to see so that you can sign up. But we in that class, I normally would talk about sermon crafting. Sermon crafting is very important, and let me just describe it for you briefly. Sermon crafting is basically what you do after your studies, your understanding words and you understanding text, the background, and all of that. Sermon crafting basically is putting your sermon together, putting proper illustration, putting proper introduction. That's basically sermon crafting. So you are to give time to that. Okay? But today is all about the transitions. Have you ever thought about transitions? I challenge you. Think carefully about the way you move from one part of your sermon to another by using and unusing proper transitional statements, transitional phrases, transitional words. What are your thoughts? You can share your thoughts. If you have a question, you can share as well. We will continue in this series, in another series rather, as we are looking to talk about expository preaching, expository sermons. If you enjoy this video, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with other preachers so that they too can benefit from these instructions. Until then, until next time, I am Danley Duncan on preaching, and may God bless you as you carry out His command. God bless.